Halo, halo, czy nas słyszycie? To nasz ostatni komunikat. Dziś oddziały niemieckie wkroczyły do Warszawy. Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła.
Hi, today's episode will be a bit different from the previous ones. This is because I'm going to summarize the overall role of Poles in the defense of France in 1940. My opinion is based on several months of researching the topic. If you are interested in a more detailed description of those events, check out my other videos from this series. Alright, let's start with how Poles actually ended up in France. After losing the September campaign, many Polish soldiers fled to Hungary or via the Romanian bridgehead to, you guessed it, Romania. Small number of them also went to Lithuania. After crossing the border, they were interned. Due to the formation of Polish troops in France, a large evacuation began. The escape route went through, among others, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Greece, Turkey and Italy. Despite German interventions, it wasn't possible to fully stop the influx of Polish soldiers. In the ports of the Mediterranean and the Black Sea, Polish, Allied and even Romanian and Greek ships were already waiting for them. Afterwards, route of the Polish soldiers went via the sea or Italy to France. Wait a minute, Italy? After all, since May 1939, Italy was in alliance with Germany. Yes and no. True, after the signing of the Pact of Steel, those countries were formally united by an alliance. In practice, however, when Germany attacked Poland in September 1939, Italy declared neutrality, which lasted until June 1940. The flow of Polish troops through Italy was thus made possible by the permission of the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Galeazzo Ciano. He described Polish soldiers as, quote, Polish workers who, under the pressure of the Wehrmacht, crossed the borders of Romania and Hungary. By June 1940, about 21,000 Poles had escaped from Hungary, known as the Green Border, and about 22,000 from Romania. Over 30,000 of them went to France, and several thousand to French Syria. The situation of Poles in Lithuania and Latvia was much worse. Evacuation was successful only for small groups. Ultimately, out of approximately 85,000 Polish soldiers who escaped captivity, 44,000 were evacuated, of which 38,000 stood alongside Polish immigrants from France and Great Britain, forming the Polish army in France.
Training in France and inspected by Polish and French generals are men of the new Polish army, which is being built up to continue the fight against the Nazi aggressor. When the Poles go into action again, it will be somewhere on the Western Front where they will not be outclassed and overwhelmed by the enemy's mechanized forces and aircraft.
Break away!
Okay, we already know how Poles found themselves in France. There, on January 4th, 1940, a Polish-French agreement was signed, which gave the Polish army many freedoms, including giving the right to command to Władysław Sikorski. And so began the formation of Polish land forces: 1st Grenadier Division, 2nd Rifle Division, 3rd Infantry Division, 4th Infantry Division, 10th Armored Cavalry Brigade, Polish Independent Highland Brigade, Polish Independent Carpathian Brigade. In addition, the Polish Air Force in France was formed, consisting of approximately 7,000 people. We also can't forget about the Polish Navy. Polish ships arrived at British ports from September to October. These were, among others, destroyers: ORP Grom, Thunder, ORP Błyskawica, Lightning, ORP Burza, Storm, as well as submarines: ORP Wilk, Wolf, and ORP Orzeł, Eagle. Additionally, the transport ship ORP Vilia and the training ship ORP Iskra docked in the French port of Casablanca in Morocco. Many other Polish transport ships also served in the navy. Fine, Polish troops already formed? Yeah, not exactly. It should be noted that the formation hasn't been fully completed because of, for example, numerous problems with equipment. Nevertheless, Polish soldiers and sailors took part in the Norwegian campaign alongside their Allied comrades. When Germany invaded France in May 1940, many Polish troops were still during the process of formation. They joined the fray after the Germans broke through the front on the Somme and Aisne in early June. 1st Grenadier Division fought in the region of Lorraine, 2nd Rifle Division in the region of Franche-Comté, and 10th Armored Cavalry Brigade in the regions of Champagne and Burgundy. Later on, 3rd Infantry Division and Polish Independent Highland Brigade took part in the defense of Breton Redoubt. I will talk about that later. Polish pilots defended, among others, sky above the Paris, and the Navy assisted in the evacuation of troops to Britain. The Polish Independent Carpathian Brigade, formed in French Syria, didn't take part in the fighting until 1941, when it fought alongside the British. From 85,000 soldiers, approximately 50,000 actually took part in the fight. Losses amounted to around 1,500 killed, 5,000 wounded and many thousands of missing in action. The 1st Grenadier Division suffered the largest losses, fighting for example near Lagarde. Despite the overwhelming German dominance across the entire front, the Poles managed to achieve a few victories, including one in Norway at Narvik and also in France at the Battle of Montbar. The Polish Independent Highland Brigade turned out to be the most effective Polish unit. No wonder, since the best soldiers from other Polish units were selected for it. However, even the best soldiers can be ruined by a bad command. After the success in Narvik, instead of Great Britain they ended up in the Breton Redoubt, where, isolated in the chaos of the war, they were dispersed and disbanded. After the Highlanders came to Dol, our situation became more difficult than in September 1939 in Poland. There we fought on our land, among our people. Here we were faced with the fact that the commanders ordered us to stand our ground while the French army didn't want to fight, and all civil authorities, without exception, demanded us to stop fighting, to not cause more losses and damages. General Zygmunt Bohusz-Szyszko. The 10th Armored Cavalry Brigade can also be considered as one of the most effective Polish units. In the last days of the French campaign, despite the tragic conditions, shortages of fuel, ammunition and food, mostly alone, made its way through more and more crowded French towns, passing fleeing French soldiers. Every Polish unit at that time, however, deserves the attention. It's hard to deny them the fighting spirit. It should be noted that these were people driven to a certain extent by a desire of revenge for the tragic September, or for the cruel treatment of the Polish population by the German invaders. Their fighting spirit, despite being distinguishable among the French colleagues, wasn't unshaken. As you can read from many diaries, there were times when the morale of the troops dropped below the critical level. There have been cases of desertion. It's not surprising, though, given the general situation on the front. In June, the fall of France was only a matter of time. This situation disappointed Władysław Sikorski. He strongly believed in French military power and will to fight. Seeing the end approaching, Sikorski went to London in a British bomber. There, on June 19th, he promised Winston Churchill that the Polish troops had no intention of surrendering together with the French. On the same day, their evacuation began and lasted for the next few days. It was accomplished with the help of, among others, Polish transport ships MS Batory and MS Sobieski. In total, 27,000 Polish soldiers were evacuated from France to Great Britain and Palestine. You can ask yourself, did the presence of Poles in France in 1940 influence the course of the campaign? Given the overall scale of the Battle of France, it is difficult to state that the 2% of the Allied army had any chance of doing so. However, Polish pilots deserve attention in this respect, as they shot down 50 German planes, which was 7.6% of all the air victories of the French Armée de l'Air. This, however, doesn't include the British Air Force, which played a much greater role in May and June 1940. In addition, the Polish Independent Highland Brigade, which constitute about 1/5 of all Allied troops in the Narvik area, played a significant role. Despite the fact that Poles ultimately constituted a small percentage of the Allied army, their involvement in the fight had a political aspect. Thanks to them, the Polish government in exile gained importance in the eyes of British authorities, which, seeing the fall of France, looked for any allies to fight Germany. The continuation of the fight by the Polish army also had an impact on the Poles remaining in the country. This news certainly contributed to the strengthening of the resistance against the invader. I would say that the participation of Poles in the defense of France in 1940 wasn't a goal in itself, but rather the beginning of something greater. It was here that the Allies had a chance to really see the fighting spirit of Polish soldiers. And so, as France was just the beginning of the struggle for many Polish soldiers, I believe that my series about Poles in France is just the beginning of future series on this channel. Lots of hand-colored photos in this episode were prepared by the Barwy Przeszłości. I recommend checking their Facebook page for more of such great colorizations. The link is in the description. If you liked this episode, don't forget to rate it and support my channel by subscribing to it and clicking the notification bell. See ya!